Ladies and gentlemen, welcome once again to the world-famous Rich Wilson Show. I am Rich Wilson, and I have got a cramp. Yeah, I got a cramp. It's okay. It'll work itself out. Anyway, ladies and gentlemen, I got messages going on over here in the screen there. All right, so anyway, ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the show once again. It is Friday. That's right, it is Friday, folks. That means tonight, we're going to cover some other news. Why? Because we've been drilling the regular news into your head. We're going to cover some other things tonight. One, we're going to talk about maple syrup. We're going to talk about a chicken that caused a national security incident. We're going to talk about cheese, and we're going to talk about pot. Yes, all that right here tonight. So why don't we get started? First of all, let's get started with the maple syrup situation. And I didn't put together any photographs for this. Wow, that's odd. All right, let me get you some. So anyway, folks, you know the pandemic has caused a lot of things out there, and unfortunately, it's also caused a maple syrup shortage. It really has. I don't know why it has, but it's mainly because, well, you got to understand, you got the whole problem. You got the whole problem with stuff getting out, and the thing is you don't necessarily, this isn't an issue where it causes problems from the ports getting to you, because for most of us in the United States, it's just brought down out of Canada. But unfortunately, because of the pandemic, actually maple syrup makers have been short-staffed, which means product has not been going out as fast. So unfortunately, Canada has had to tap into its strategic reserves. That's right. Maple syrup shortage is so bad that the Canadians have had to go into their actual national reserves. And yes, when I say this, Canada does have a national reserve. You know how like the United States has a national oil reserve? Well, Canada has a national maple syrup reserve. They really do. That's annoying. So anyway, hey, my buddy Trellick is out there watching it. So yeah, so maple syrup damn it. Maple syrup is definitely a matter of national pride in Canada, and so while high gas prices have pushed President Biden to tap into the U.S. strategic oil reserves, America's neighbor to the north is also dealing with a shortage of another so-called liquid gold. Yes, that's right. Where'd it go? Dave, will you please get on this? Dave's running a little slow today, folks. The Canadian group Quebec Maple Syrup Producers recently announced it was releasing about 50 million pounds of its strategic maple syrup reserves, about half of the total stockpile. Okay, that's a lot of maple syrup, folks. That's a lot. But that's how bad the shortage is right now. Quebec produces nearly 70% of the world's maple syrup, with the U.S. being its biggest client for the sweet stuff. However, this year, producers weren't able to keep up with the worldwide demand, which jumped 21%, according to Bloomberg. Well, and like I said, another reason why the demand for maple syrup is on the rise too is you got the pandemic, which a lot of people are at home, so a lot of people eating flapjacks, a lot of people eating some pancakes, and then number two, because of the pandemic, producers that make maple syrup have not been at the facilities in order to produce this stuff. And it's not exactly like it's a overly simplistic process. It's actually pretty difficult. I don't know if anybody's ever seen how they make maple syrup, but in case you haven't, and for some reason the video is not available, that kind of sucks. So unfortunately, I don't have a video for you because, Dave, you got to convert this stuff for the broadcaster chief. We can't just pull it off of the internet and then it works. Anyway, I had a video for you on maple syrup making, and believe it or not, it's actually rather an interesting process. This one facility has over 400 acres of sugar maple trees, and it requires 600 miles of plastic or vinyl tubing, and they have to tap these trees. And when they tap the trees, they tap them. They always go. What is it? He said that particular group does 12 inches up or 12 inches below the original tap, so that way the tree can heal from it. Damn it! I'm gonna have to mute that chat. That is constantly popping up on my screen. Give me a second here, folks. I gotta mute this because it's just constantly going over the top of my screen over here. So anyway, and then for up to they work for up to 4 months, and as long as the weather permits, it will drain out, and this goes straight to a siphoning facility where they gather it up. Now understand that it can't just sit in these vats forever. The sap, when it comes out, is only actually good for about 24 to 48 hours. So they have to quickly process this stuff as it's running. And this one company in Vermont that I watched a video on today makes 15% of the world's maple syrup. This one company in Vermont. And if you think it's just maple syrup, understand that Canada had to release 50 million pounds of syrup because there's a shortage. Just imagine 50 million pounds, what's that percentage compared to the one in Vermont? That's still a lot of damn maple syrup, folks. And it's it's got to get done one way or the other. And the bad part about it is they got to make it up, but you can only make maple syrup certain times of the year. You can't make it year round. You just can't do that. You can only make it during certain points of the year. So they have to overproduce now to meet the demand in order to refill Canada's strategic maple reserve stockpile. And and this is no joke, it literally is in Canada a strategic maple reserve. So there you go. Now let's get to let me get to my primary story tonight, because I could national security is a serious matter. It really is. And we found out that our national security was actually breached at the Pentagon, of all places. That's not supposed to be the first one that pops up. Dave, you got the order wrong on these two. So anyway, our culprit, a chicken here, he managed to breach security at the Pentagon and wandered onto the Pentagon property. And when I say this is a national security incident, it is. Nothing that is living is supposed to break that perimeter. Okay? Absolutely nothing. But somehow a chicken managed to break the perimeter of the Pentagon. Supposed to be one of the most secure places in the country. Evidently wasn't so secure. Animal rescuers in Virginia responded to an unusual national security situation in a chicken on the loose in the Pentagon security area. The Animal Welfare League of Arlington said personnel were summoned to the U.S. Department of Defense headquarters when a chicken was caught sneaking around the security area at the Pentagon. And in fact, this chicken had made it a little bit further than just the security checkpoint area. Apparently, the answer to why did the chicken cross the road is to get to the Pentagon. The AWL quipped in a Facebook post. The animal rescue group said it could not identify the location of the area in which the chicken was captured due to national security concerns. Yes, folks, they're not kidding. A chicken breached the security perimeter of the Pentagon, and the Pentagon went on alert because there was a living object moving around the Pentagon. Now, normal birds that fly around the area don't set it off. But when you got something moving across the ground like that ain't supposed to be there, the alarms went off. My understanding is this is the first time that a fowl situation caused us to go to all the way to DEFCON 2 because we didn't know what it was. Now, they weren't quite sure what was wandering around the Pentagon at first, and they thought maybe somebody had lost the president and he was just wandering aimlessly again. But then they found out it was a chicken. After they determined that the chicken was not a part of a terrorist organization, they went ahead and put us back to DEFCON 3, and everything is right in the world again. However, the Department of Defense does not take its security lightly. There's people that have been reprimanded for their loss of the control of the security of the facility. And as far as I understand, this chicken has been taken into custody and was immediately dispatched to Gitmo, which then he will be interrogated. Now, I'm pretty sure there might be fried chicken for dinner at Gitmo. Not sure. You know, hanky things go on at Gitmo, and if the bird doesn't cooperate, there could be some fried chicken. Just saying. Which, unfortunately, that wasn't the only incident that we had. We also had a cheese incident. That's right, ladies and gentlemen. Unfortunately, there was a cheese incident at one of the local grocery stores, which erupted Twitter as into an absolute fury of dad jokes. We heard this whole operation was possibly the results of Jackal getting onto Twitter and starting a Twitter war on bad puns. The cheese incident inspired things like "hope no injuries were incurred," and the puns don't get much better than this. Twitter punsters were on the queso Thursday night after Philadelphia blog alerted users to the local supermarket cheese shelf that had collapsed. Fortunately, they were optimistic the store would build back cheddar and Swiss them the best in that endeavor. Any way you slice it, jokesters churned out some pretty great responses, and I've put a couple of those up there on the screen for you. Okay, yes, Dave put them up on the screen for you. I mean, you just kind of got to go with the brie when it comes to these things, folks. I mean, sometimes you got to take the Gouda with the bad. And I can only run that into the ground so many more times. Jackal, if Jackal was here, would be a whole hell of a lot better at that than I would. Also, in other news today, Brian Stelter rumors over Stelter are amassing in great detail. Of course, once again, the picture courteous of the Anchor's Only dating app, that Brian Stelter may be fired from CNN. I don't know why we're covering this, but it came up in the news anyway. Go figure. Also, you know the lawyer that was representing Stormy Daniels that CNN and MSNBC and all them fawned over and thought he was the greatest thing in the world? They even turned around and said, hey, we think you should run for president. Well, his ass got found guilty today for fraud. For wire fraud, which under federal law, that carries a 20-year sentence. I don't think he'll be running for president anytime soon. Also in the news, a Dutch reporter was on TV reporting from China when he was whisked away. We have reached out to sources in China, but unfortunately, they've declined all comment. Also, a company. Well, nobody wants to look at Brian Stelter again. I don't even know why I put that up there. Anyway, folks, 850-pound pot brownie brings new meaning to the getting baked. That's because the dank dessert treat is an 850-pound monster measuring 3 feet wide, 3 feet long, and 15 inches high. Pun intended. It contains more than 20,000 milligrams of THC. The massive marijuana brownie was created by Mary Med, a multi-state cannabis operator, to celebrate National Brownie Day, which that happened on December 8th, and to promote the company's new brand, Bubby's Baked. Now, the company did seek out to the Guinness Book of World Records for having the largest brownie ever made, which they did eclipse that by 300 pounds. Unfortunately, the Guinness Book of World Records stated that they will not be covering this due to the fact that they don't enter into record of the consumption or smoking of cigarettes or drugs. So, unfortunately, it would not get put into the Guinness Book of World Records. However, we did hear that the company's Christmas party was absolutely amazing. However, they did end up firing every single person that worked for the company for violating the company's substance abuse policies. There's always a downside. Also in the news today, is there anything else of any real interest? Not 100% certain about that. But like I said, because we don't really have much for you guys today. But so we'll just take a look at it together, shall we? News. Dave, why don't you bring up the news? That would be an amazing thing if you could. I would much appreciate that if you could. By the way, Dave's my dude here, my show producer, and oh yeah, this was interesting today. Trump is wrong. Pence says that Trump is completely incorrect about his ability to overturn the election. Folks, understand this. Once the Electoral College has made its decision on who's going to become the president of the United States of America, okay, what happens in Congress is just a matter of production. It doesn't really mean anything. So the president of the United States or the vice president or the Speaker of the House can't overturn the election. Them saying they certify the Electoral College is just a matter of procedure, and it already exists. They could have all came out in unison and said, we don't certify this. Doesn't fucking matter. It still happens. The RNC voted today to censor Liz Cheney and Kissinger. The Republicans that claim they're Republicans, but they're actually Democrats. I mean, nobody bought into that disguise, but evidently they tried. It didn't work out for you. Liz, of course, Cheney, the daughter of former Senator, she's sorry, I'm way off on that one. For some reason, I was thinking of McCain, she really hates people. But no, Cheney, of course, in that family line with Dick Cheney. I don't know what happened. I don't know what. She kind of strayed away from her dad there, and she decided she was going to become a Democrat. Go figure. This weekend, if you're interested in something new in sports, NASCAR will be racing at the Coliseum. That's right, folks. The Coliseum, known where the Trojans play, where they've held Super Bowls and stuff and the Olympics, will now have a NASCAR race. It will be a quarter-mile track. The track is finished and they're ready to go on it starting this weekend. The Busch Clash, which is usually held at Daytona, this year in L.A. I have decided to have something new, and they're going to get up to 23 cars on a quarter-mile track of NASCAR's vehicles up there, and they're going to run around that track. Should be interesting. It's a quarter mile, so folks, you're not going to see speeds of 200 miles an hour, but I have a prediction that it's going to be a wreck fest. Just got that feeling. I don't know about you. I'm looking forward to it. In fact, I'm pretty sure I'm going to order me some of Rudy's Smokehouse. I think that's what the name of that place was. And I'm going to enjoy that this weekend. Let's see. The McMichaels are still headed to federal trial after all the plea deals have been removed. Pittsburgh will not be hosting the 2024 Republican National Convention. I wonder why. North Carolina Supreme Court strikes down new voting maps. They were trying to redistrict things, and it didn't go down so well. Oh, by the way, this one in, for those of you that live in Virginia and you're liking your new governor, well, evidently the court system doesn't like your new governor. They have put a stay on the governor's executive order for the mask mandates in school. Now the schools can now enforce mask mandates in their school again. We all know the whack job Loudoun County School District over there, you know, that place where the crazies ended up going and running things. They're sitting there threatening to have their students arrested for trespassing if they show up not wearing a mask. It's like the first time ever you're trying to go to school and the school is threatening to throw you in jail for going to school now. It used to be you got threatened to go to jail if you didn't go to school. Now you could go to jail for going to school. Confusing times we all live in here, ladies and gentlemen. It's absolutely confusing times. It's getting so bad, I think some of us might end up with a pot in our head and sitting in the ditch trying to fend off the commies. Oh, wait a minute. The commies are working together. That's right. In case you didn't see, Putin and Xi Jinping were together at the Olympics and made announcements in the opening statements about how they're working together. You know, kind of like this show put out for you guys a week ago. And I'm at this point of going, no shit. You think? So anyway, what we reported turned out to be true. The Russians and the Chinese are actually working together. And they gave a collective professional way of giving the middle finger to the United States and other parts of Europe. China and Russia both agree NATO shouldn't get any bigger. Here's the other problem you got. I also agree NATO shouldn't exist anymore. It does nothing. And countries involved in NATO don't take up the slack like they're supposed to. All right. So that's the news that we have tonight, folks. There's not much of it. It's let's see. Violence is at an all-time high. By the way, another thing, job numbers came in. The job numbers actually came in, and the early reports that they lost a lot of jobs ended up being wrong. They ended up creating a bunch of jobs. The problem is, the bunch of jobs created really didn't add that much to unemployment. Here's the reason why. A lot of people that already have a job took up the jobs that were created because they had to work two jobs to keep up with this asshole's inflation. You know, Joe Biden sitting there saying it was a success, but we're paying even more money for shit. So, yeah, great, people are working again, but the problem is people can't afford anything even though they're working. It seems like the plan is kind of not working, but that's just me. Anyway, ladies and gentlemen, it's Friday. I'm not going to sit here and run off at the mouth all night long. It's like I said, it's Friday. I didn't really, I didn't put together a big show tonight because I didn't want to sit there and get you guys all stuck and having to listen to me for an hour, because sometimes I will put you to sleep. I mean, I when I go back and review the footage to see how I did on the show, I put myself to sleep. So anyway, folks, all I wanted to do was just give you a little bit of fun tonight, and then I was going to call it a night. If there's anybody out there in the chat that wants to be a part of the conversation, now's the opportunity. If not, that is as it is. Let's take a look at what it's like outside, folks. Real quick. Dave, go to the double cam. It's the other one. Yeah, go to the double cam, Dave. There we go. It is getting dark out there, and I will tell you, it was cold as hell today. We struggled in South Houston to get to 32 degrees. We struggled. Now, we'll tell you, though, there's a lot of people right now sitting there telling me, oh, you got to 32 degrees. Cry me a river. Because a lot of other places are way fucking colder than this. But getting down to 32 degrees down here, that's chilly. That is some chilly weather down in these parts. But all in all, though, we were supposed to get rain all day today. The rain stayed off, which is nice. And it seems like things have kind of calmed themselves down outside tonight. That's what it looks like for us here. How's it look like for you out there? Folks, if it's freezing its ass off out there where you're at, first of all, don't go nowhere. Don't drive nowhere. If you got stuff inside the house to do and food to eat, then don't go nowhere. Don't go out there and be one of those goofballs on the roadway that we end up watching on YouTube that decided you wanted to see what it was like to play car pinball between the barriers on the highway. Not a good idea. Okay. And once again, folks, for those of you, if you like the channel, make sure you click on the subscribe button and the bell for notifications to let you know every time I'm on. If you're on Twitch right now watching me, click on the subscribe button or on the follow button there and make sure you got your notifications set on that as well. Folks, for everybody here at the world famous Rich Wilson Show, I'm Rich Wilson. You're not. That's a good thing. For Dave over there, Dave, right here, buddy. You're working on it, pal. We get some practice in this weekend. For everybody here at the world famous Rich Wilson Show, I'm Rich Wilson. Guys, have yourselves a wonderful night. Remember this weekend, beat the fake hate. Fake hate is a real thing, and don't let it get you, okay? Don't let others determine who you are. You be you. That's what I love about you. Be yourself. Everybody's different. Be different. If you're dancing like nobody's watching and it puts a smile on your face, by all means go for it. I know I do. I dance like nobody's watching. Hell, I'll dance even if people are watching. It kind of looks like a really bad seizure. But hey, it is what it is. Anyway, ladies and gentlemen, you have yourselves a wonderful night. Have a great weekend. We'll see you back here on Monday. For everybody here at the world famous Rich Wilson Show, again, I am Rich Wilson. I've only told you that to nauseam, and you've probably already had enough of me. So we'll see you later. Have yourselves a good night. Bye-bye.